And so here to introduce our special guest is someone pretty special himself, Representative-elect Stephen Wimmer.
I appreciate it. It was over generous. There's two big reasons I'm smiling right now. The first is that I don't have a raise, and I appreciate that. That's a good reason to smile. The second is it's always nice to be handed a microphone right before two people that you've worked for. Come on. It's kind of exciting to speak ahead of your former bosses. I want to say briefly, when I came back from Iraq, I went to Washington, D.C., and I got a job with Senator McCaskill. I didn't have by far the most important job in the office. I was the low guy on the totem pole. I was new to Washington, D.C. But she took a real interest in everybody on her staff. And at the end of the week, it was a busy week, she'd come and say, how many people felt this way about this issue? What are people in Missouri saying? And I think the best thing I can say about Senator McCaskill is right now she's working to bring about some of the most important change this nation and this world have seen in a long time. But in the midst of all that, she's still very, very concerned about every single Missourian and every single person she represents. That's an incredible bridge to bring together, and she crosses it well. So we're really lucky to have her. Now, I'm not here to introduce Senator Graham because I'm a future representative. I'm not here because he's a state senator. I'm here for a very simple reason, and that's Chuck is my friend, and I believe in him, and I support him. When I first wanted to get involved in politics, he was really one of the people that took me from the sidelines and got me into the game. Some of the first political action I ever did was knocking on doors with him down in Ashland. If you've ever knocked on doors, the best way to do it is to get a list of people in the middle, persuadable voters. So you've got your list, you've got people who lean Republican, who lean Democrat. But as a 14-year-old kid, I just thought it was great fun to pick out the strongest Republicans on the list to go knock on their door and tell them they should vote for Chuck Graham. But even after that, he kept me interested, he kept me involved, and I'm grateful for his friendship. Equally as important, the best compliment I think that Senator Graham has got was from Chris Kelly, the man who's going to be representing the 24th District, when he was talking about the university last year and the battle over academic freedom. He said that Senator Graham was a profile in courage. He was one man in the Senate who did what senators were supposed to do. He fought for what he believed, even when he was alone, even when he alienated from other people. And so tonight and for this entire campaign, our mission is to show him that, well, he may have been alone before the Senate. He's not alone here in Boone and Randolph counties. So please give him a warm welcome, Senator, man I'm looking forward to serving with, Chuck Graham.
Well, thank you, Stephen and Ted. Betty, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's quite an award.
Especially district.
Yeah. You know, the bad part is now Chris Kelly's going to call you and ask you for money for your own scholarship.
I'm pretty poor.
So, no, but anyway, thank you everybody for being here today. We have 14 days and about an hour to change the direction of this state and change the direction of this country. 4 years ago, when I announced that I was running for the Senate, I made a commitment to the people of this district. I said that I am going to work to protect, defend, and enhance the University of Missouri because it is the crown jewel of this district and the crown jewel of this state. What I didn't count on was that for the first time in 82 years, the Republicans would have the governor's mansion, the House, and the Senate. And I think over the last 4 years, you can see the damage that was done, and you also understand the damage that they tried to do to this institution. And Ken Jacob knows this as well as anybody. You know, it's a lonely place out there on the Senate floor when everybody else is running for cover or they just don't care enough. But we had the will and the ability to go out there and say, we are not going to let you undo a vote of the people when they said, we want to protect stem cell research in our state constitution. It was unconscionable for them to come back the very next year and say, if you want a cancer hospital, you have to agree not to do stem cell research. There's two problems with that. One, once you let them begin from the right wing of the Republican Party to define what you can and cannot research at a public research institution, you begin on a downward slide. Because the next thing they're going to do is they're going to come into our science classrooms and say, you have to teach that the world's only 6,000 years old, that dinosaurs didn't exist. That slope isn't that far. The other problem that you have is that you cannot attract the very researchers, not just the people who did stem cell research, and we have two of those projects, ironically, in the Kit Bond Life Sciences building, who votes against stem cell research. I'm still trying to figure out how that works. But you also lose other researchers who won't move their families to a community or a state that they believe to be backwards, that they don't believe to be on the progressive end of things. We need to get back to building this life sciences corridor from Stowers in Kansas City to the University of Missouri here to Washington University. That's the future. We have the highest unemployment rate in years right now, and that's because we're not investing in the jobs of the 21st century. We stopped investing in that life sciences corridor. So I stood there on the floor of the Senate and had them threaten to cut $31 million for the Ellis Michelle Cancer Hospital. What they didn't know at the time was my dad was in there. And my dad was dying from the same disease that killed my mother. Small cell lung cancer. And I thought real hard about the choice that I was making when I held that floor. Because I would visit him in the morning in that hospital, and I would look at the lights, and I would look at the facilities, and I knew we needed better facilities. But the question came, do I trade a potential future cure for the cancer that's killing my dad and that killed my mom? Do I trade that for a nicer bed to die in? And that answer is no. That answer was no. And luckily, last year they came to their senses. They passed the $31 million for Ellis Michelle, and they did it without research restrictions that would cripple this state university. So I'm very hopeful that going into next year, we're going to get back to the business of enhancing the University of Missouri, not just protecting and defending it. And we're going to do that with Governor Jay Nixon. Yeah. Jay's going to have an annual capital bill. We're not going to have all these shenanigans and schemes and different things to be able to pay for what should be an ongoing support of this state university. He understands his role. And the other person that understands that role is here tonight. And that's my good friend, U.S. Senator Claire McCaskill. And I love saying that because I can't tell you the hours that we spent in my office when she was thinking about running. She'd come up from the honors office and she'd sit on the couch and she's like, I don't know. I just got through a tough race. I'm not sure I want to do this. I'm like, oh, Claire, you need to do this. And I was plan B, and I'm glad the plan A worked. Because I'm not sure plan B would have. But Claire's victory gave the Democrats back the U.S. Senate. They've got a real opportunity this year to get to 60 votes. And it looks like for the first time in many, many years, we're going to have not just a Democratic Congress and a Democratic Senate, but we're also going to have Barack Obama as the next president of the United States. Now, I don't know if you watch TV as much as I have, but Claire's on everything. I mean, you can't talk. She goes on Fox. She goes right in the hole. She'll go right in with those Republicans on Fox and just go at them. You did a great job kicking Roy Blunt around this week. I'll tell you a story about that later. But anyway, I know she's got to get over to Callaway County, and I appreciate her and her family, and Betty and Joe and everybody for being here. But I would like to introduce at this time our special guest at our homecoming celebration this week, the former Hickman homecoming queen and now U.S. Senator Claire McCaskill.